Hey, Scott Haase here, and I'm really excited to show you this breakdown of this athlete who is in one of our younger ages because it's something that is so common that I see with all of our youth athletes, whether it's 8, 9, 10, 11, even our middle school and high school guys. So make sure you watch this. I'm going to have my face on here again after I show you the video clip to talk about it a little bit more. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. Let me know if you like this, so hit that like button, and then leave me a comment. If you see something on here that you would like to see more of or different, or if you have any questions, let me know, and enjoy this. All right, let's get into this breakdown. This athlete it's not a video about him, it's about all of our youth athletes. And you will see, I've got this pretty well synced up, as best I could do real quick. But this athlete on the left, you will notice pretty soon after release that something looks different. So let's go back a little bit. This is what so many of our youth athletes do. If you take a look at the back right foot on the left, you are going to see that foot looks like it's almost glued, like super glued or gorilla glued in the background, and that shoe is just not coming off the ground unless the player takes his foot out of there. But on the right, that shoe moves, the knee moves, the hip continues to rotate, and then the athlete just kind of hanging out right there. Whereas the body's almost frozen on the left over here. The entire body's frozen. So you'll notice the athlete is a little more straight up now as opposed to bent over. And then if I clear everything, back it up, and just go into a slow motion, you'll just see the one on the right throws, comes out of it, looks just nice and relaxed, and just kind of watches it. Whereas the athlete on the left just looks like he's stiff. Now, this is the same athlete. This is two different throws, and the one on the right, everyone would agree, looks, no matter how much of a baseball fan you are, it looks like more of an athletic throw. The athlete on the left is going to resemble all of our youth athletes who are focusing on just trying to throw strikes. The athlete on the right, the same guy who looks a lot more athletic and is throwing it hard over there, is just focusing on throwing it, just chucking it. That's what we're trying to get these athletes to do. You're going to see two totally different athletes in two just back-to-back consecutive throws. You can tell an athlete to try and throw a strike, and you're going to see what the guy on the left does. And then you can tell an athlete to throw it as hard as they can, and the athlete on the right is going to look like the same, but then totally different and like, oh, an athlete. The first time I saw this, there was an athlete that did the exact same thing. It was a 9-year-old. This back left foot was just chilling there. And I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? And this athlete was off the mound. And then I said, hey, try to throw as hard as you can. Do it. And I just took a big target and I threw him off the mound. And same thing as over here, this foot moved. And the athlete looked a ton more athletic. And I said, okay, we are on to something. So this was 3 years ago. And ever since, we now have our athletes do this when they do go to tryouts. And it makes a world of difference because you can see the athlete that's inside there. This athlete on the right, the same one as on the left, the same night, looks a lot more athletic because he's not trying to focus so much on trying to throw a strike to a really, really small target and get really, really nervous and all that other stuff. Now, the athlete on the left, if throwing like this with a left foot back there, continues to throw like this for the next 7 years, you're going to wonder why this high schooler is not as athletic, because he's been told by so many coaches, hey, make sure you focus and try and throw a strike. And he does that, and he tries to focus and really focus, and sometimes you'll have athletes, not this one in particular, but you will have athletes that try to throw like this one on the left and really try to focus on throwing a strike, and they just don't look like an athlete on the right anymore, and that same movement pattern gets ingrained for years, and now you wonder why you have a less athletic athlete, and you can trace it back to the early years where they were trying to focus really hard on just trying to throw strikes. So I think you guys get it from the video. It is something that is so common with all of our athletes. And what we do when we have our tryouts with our 8, 9, 10, even our 11-year-olds, is I'll have the coaches actually set up the players at home plate. They will try to throw the ball as far as they can into the outfield for the really young guys, or over the fence for maybe some of the older guys. And I'll have the coaches watch the athlete, and they're taking notes. And then I'll have them go over to an area where there's a smaller target. And what I'll do is I'll tell the player in their ear, I'll whisper to them, and I'll say to them, hey, I want you to focus really, really hard on that small like circle or whatever is over there, that target. I really want you to try hard to throw a strike there. The coaches know what I'm doing, the parents know what I'm doing, and the athlete will try really hard. You'll see them get focused. They'll even look differently with their body. They'll just look completely different. They won't look as much like an athlete, and they'll just get really focused. It's fun to watch the little guys too. So what they will do is they'll try to focus really hard. Sometimes you'll see them slow down. They'll try really hard, and the ball, most of the time, just completely misses the target. And the coaches will kind of laugh. Some will be like, oh, wow. But then I'll have them say, again, at a pretty big target, and there is a smaller target in there, I'll say, just throw it as hard as you can. And those guys they get reared up. They try to throw as hard as they can. And the last time I did this with one of our age groups last year, because we do it at multiple age groups, the last time I did this, I had the same thing. I told the kid, hey, make sure that you're focusing really hard on it. And the kid just reared back through, just a laser, and hit right inside of this target about this big. And it was awesome. Everyone loved it. The kids were all excited. They're like, oh my gosh, you do this so hard. So it was awesome. But from an assessment standpoint, when you have athletes that you're trying to try out and see what they've got, or even if you're at home, athletes need to know, or the parents and coaches need to know what is in the tank. That's what you're looking at a player for if you're doing some type of assessment. What do they have? And if you have them playing catch with each other, they're going to be nervous, like, ooh, I got to make sure my partner catches it, and I don't want to hurt him, so I'm not going to throw very hard. And then you have them throw to a target to simulate them pitching. Well, now they're trying really hard to throw a strike, and you never see what's in the tank. And you might look at an athlete and say, he just doesn't seem to throw very hard. He looks kind of goofy. But you can take that same athlete with a larger target and tell them to just chuck it, and it looks totally different. And the athletes have more fun with it. It looks better, and you're just like, holy smokes, we've got some good athletes out here. And across the board, not everybody, but across the board, it tends to just look a lot better, a lot smoother, a lot more athletic. And that's what we want to see out of our guys. What do you have? What are we going to work with, as opposed to this little mold of, hey, maybe you should really try to throw a strike, or those kinds of things. So hope you enjoyed this video. Again, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see anything else, and we'll look forward to the next breakdown on another Friday.